Hello, everyone. My name is Jnfrmo. This is my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about anger. Are you angry? Do you have any anger? And boundaries and why maybe how you could help yourself. So first, if you don't really understand what I'm talking about, let's all get on the same page and think about a child who has been harmed by an adult and was not protected by the parents. Okay, so I always go to the extreme, but it's the easiest way for us to convey and get on the same team here. So let's say that a child is living with mother, and then mother invites a man in, and man molests child for years. And the mother kind of suspects or downright knows and doesn't do anything to help the child. Eventually, one day, that child will be very upset with the parent that didn't stand up for, take charge of, and protect the child. Now you have an adult who's upset and doesn't trust their parent, right? Would you agree that that's typically, normally, often what happens? Okay, so now that we all understand what I'm talking about, I want everyone to forget about the parent and think about your advocate, you right now, the one who's almost turning this off. Who's your number one advocate? Easy. It's you. There is no one else who has your best interests in mind. There's no one that cares about you more than you do. There's just not. And if you think that you're going to find someone who does, good luck. Because you're not going to find someone who cares about you more than you care about you. Or if you do find someone who cares about you more than what you care about you, you won't have it last because it's not comfortable. You can't, either the love will be suffocating or foreign. Okay? So you're your best advocate. So in your life, if you do not stand up for yourself, you will see yourself as the parent. You will be angry with yourself. You will distrust yourself. You will blame yourself. The thing is when you have a parent to blame or a parent has done you wrong, yes, we all want a good relationship with our parents, but we are able to separate ourselves from them, take control, move on, and have a good, normal life. But when you are angry or untrusting of yourself, you can't escape. You can drink a lot to try to escape. You can jump out of planes to try to escape. You can do drugs to try to escape. You can have a lot of sex to try to escape. You can get really rich to try to escape, but you won't. You won't. You can't escape. You have to work through it. So I'm very frightful for you if you have not yet heard this or thought about it, but it resonates with you. If you're watching this and you're like, fuck, I think I kind of understand what she's saying because I think I kind of don't trust myself. What to do? So I don't want you to continue living your life in this way. I would like you to start to take steps. And the first step is recognizing that maybe you could be doing things in a better way. So if you don't stand up for yourself, you will be angry at yourself. You'll distrust yourself. The more you don't stand up for yourself, the more practice sessions you don't attend. So you're later to the game. Okay, so you can be in volleyball in 10th grade, but you don't start going to practice till the middle of the year. Now you're that much further behind. So it is a very good thing the moment you realize that you need to get into practice, to start to get into practice and take all the advantage that you can in your life to those situations. And that's another reason I don't really love people defending people. I don't really love it because here's the deal. There's a lot of you, because I'm kind of like this. I have such less of a problem defending someone that I love than defending myself. Not anymore, but I did. And I think a lot of people They have a lot more courage when they're defending their friend. But if you're with your friend and you exhibit that courage, you are robbing them of their practice. So I say, if you're in a situation and someone is putting down your friend, or, when I say putting down your friend, it makes it sound like it's a long-standing thing, like you're just sitting there and your friend is being berated. I don't mean that, but if you see little instances, try to bite your tongue and allow them the opportunity to say the simple things to defend themselves. Okay, so you want to get as much practice as possible. And if you don't, you're going to eventually get lower self-esteem. Now, when you don't defend yourself, you are weak. And let me tell you something about weak people. This I feel like I'm a little bit of a creepy person because it's going to sound like I'm in a victim shame right now, and I've said this in videos before, when I'm around a very weak person, I hate them. I have a visceral, I think I'm using the word right, feeling about someone when they're very weak. I get disgusted, angry, and it makes me want to exploit them. I don't sound very nice, do I? And you might even think I'm a bad person. But I'm just trying to be honest with you, because I'm sure, as much as some of you hate to hear this, there's also someone that's like, oh, I fucking get it. I understand. When weak people bring out... very weak people attract monsters, okay? So when I come across a weak person, I don't help them. I walk away. I don't want any part of it. But if I was a bad person, I would exploit the shit out of them. It's like some people beg for it. Don't ever become someone who's so weak that you beg for it. And for those of you who are not a very weak person, you have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. But there is someone who understands. Now, chances are, if you understand what I'm saying about the weakness, you have probably 100%, I guarantee you've already been a victim, haven't you? I know, it's weird, right? It's like I'm talking to you. You've already been a victim. I've read somewhere that the best prediction of you becoming a victim is if you have been a victim. Now, here we are in 2022. There's a lot of victim. People love to be a victim, but I'm talking about real victims, like of rape or molestation or an act of violence, particularly like domestic violence, where you have chosen the person and it was a really bad choice and they really hurt you, instead of a random act. I'm not talking random act of violence victims. The biggest predictor of being a victim is if you already were. Why? I've been talking about this all week because you start to develop a pattern and a comfort, and the pattern and the comfort is choosing really bad people. The comfort is discomfort. Okay, it sounds all weird, but I think you understand. Now, the other thing, for those of you, so I was talking very extreme. There's one very weak person listening right now that wants to change. Okay? For everyone else, have you ever heard someone complain and bitch and tell this long story about someone who was just totally inappropriate or rude at work or a friend group? And you'll say, well, what did you say? And then they say, whatever, I just took the high road. Whatever, they can live their life. I just took the high road is often an excuse and justification for being a doormat. Okay, so this is a fine line, because some of you, this is a fine line, because you don't want to be the kind of person that doesn't take very kindly to everything. So you're just fighting everything because you're so frightened of being a doormat. And then the person who always is taking the high road, right? You have to suss out the true reasons and cases in which you should speak up for yourself. When I say speak up for yourself, I'm not saying to use swear words or to raise your voice or to demand how it's going to be or else. Like, none of that. Just real stable, stoic boundary setting. I'm getting ahead here. Okay. If you take the high road too many times, you will eventually get resentful and angry. Boom! Which is what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. You can be a victim, a very weak person, and be victimized often. You can take the high road too many times and be angry and resentful. And when that happens, when you take the high road too many times, you start to become a person who thinks, believes, knows that everyone around them must change for them to feel safe. Because they've never taken the practice, had the courage to confront, to set boundaries. And then they get pissed off, and then they're mad that Jolene and Mom and Frank and Ian are such mean, horrible people to you. Well, it's not. It's just the boundaries that you've set. So they don't have to change. You have to change. You have all the power. You have all the power. You have power. How much? How much? I always say, I really like to assess every negative situation with honesty, asking myself, what percentage did I participate in that bad thing happening to me? And if I can find at least 1%, that's control. If I'm really honest with myself, I can probably find about 10% that I had control over. And if I'm really, really, really honest with myself, and I go back a couple moves, I'm about 30% responsible. And when you get really, really good at being really responsible, you change the direction of your life because you have the power. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? So this video could probably be shorter or longer. I don't know. But the bottom line is setting your boundaries. Like, oh, okay, Jennifer, I do feel a little bit weak. I am a little angry. I do have resentment. So what to do? I would say something really, really important is to really think about your boundaries. Okay? So there's a million different ways we can dissect that. But let's see, what do we have here? One question would be to yourself, how do you want to be spoken to? And it's a little easier if you're coming at this clean slated. So you don't have an exact example, like, Frank he spoke to you really shitty and you didn't like that. So that's your big example. I don't know how I want to be spoken to, but I don't want to be spoken to like that. It's not as easy if you can come and really start with a clean slate and write down the character. If you were to build a character, what is the character of the relationship of the spoken words that you allow with your boundaries? Okay. So this is also a little tricky, especially when you're new at this, because you have to assess if you have thick enough skin for this. Because if you have very thin skin, you might see all honest statements as a threat. Okay. And we don't want, our boundaries shouldn't be that honesty. Oh, I don't like honesty, or I like honesty, but it has to be said in this exact way. No. Don't you want a life where people get to speak to you honestly, and even if it hurts and it doesn't feel comfortable, that's what you want, right? But you'll have to think of, I'm looking at my notes here. I just put down a couple notes before I press the record button. Honesty with love and respect. Okay, so that's what I would want. if the people that I'm around, I want them to be honest with me, but I want them to like want the best for me. And they can be brutal, but I want them to want the best for me. You can share that boundary with me if that sounds something that is you are interested in. And then there's honesty to harm. It's honesty with an ill approach and not really. It's like, oh God, it's honesty. I don't want to edit this, so I want to come up with the word. It's taking advantage of a situation and pretending that you're being honest to hurt someone. Or in this case, they're taking advantage of what could be honest to hurt you. Like you don't look very, this is a horrible example, but you don't look very good today. Sorry, I'm just being honest. But really, you do look good, but there's a man that she feels low self-esteem around because he's giving you attention. So she's being honest, but it's to hurt you. It's not really like, oh, I want you to look better. So I'm going to kind of be honest and say that shirt that you wore yesterday was much more flattering color. Something like this. Actions. So we have to think about how we want to be spoken to. And then I guess the next thing would be actions. Like, what actions are your boundaries? Is it okay for you to be hit? Oh, this is weird, right? No, of course it's not. But let's start extreme and move down the pole. Is it okay to be screamed at? It's your life. What about stolen from? What about stood up? Can someone say that they're going to meet you or come over and then not do it? Well, what if someone's late all the time? See how the escalation went down? But where is your arbitrary line of your boundary? For me, I'm not going to be stood up. I don't like to be stood up. And I also don't like it when somebody's late because it's rude. And I don't like it when people are rude to me. So I just let people know. Hey, you are you've been late before. This is your third time being late. You're notorious. So what are we going to do about it? Either we're going to start meeting after, if you say 2:00, I'm not going to show up till 2:30, or we're not going to hang out anymore. And you can say it in a nice way. I'm not saying it in a very nice way. And maybe that would be against your boundary because I'm being honest, but you don't like how I'm being honest. Complicated things here, huh? Life's really not that hard once you get on the course of what your boundaries are. But I don't want you to be living a life of anger and resentment because you're walking on eggshells that you have scattered. Not that other people have scattered, but that you have been too afraid to sweep up or walk on. If you have a question about this, an example, if you are working through a resentment or an anger right now, feel free to email me your situation. Maybe how about this? I'll do a commenting on comments. I'll do a commenting on emails until I get my call-in show ready. You email me at jnfrmo@gmail.com. You give me the situation and I'll make a follow-up video to this if I get any emails. Okay? I don't want you angry. This life is too short. There's actual bad things out of your control that can happen. So let's do all the things that you can control. Let's set up your boundaries. Let's create the best life possible and then live it. Okay? I'm not going to edit. Oh, yay. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.